I'm 17 years old, and Madison College is a great way for me to kickstart my career. I'm actually super excited that my classes are online. I really enjoy online learning. With the support you get from Madison College and your teachers, the teachers are still genuine. You still get their support through your emails. If you don't understand something, you just contact them, and they really help you out and support you.
Good afternoon. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365, with your daily news update on the coronavirus situation in Wisconsin and a couple other things that we will mention toward the end. I will once again, if you have any questions about especially about the coronavirus numbers or just kind of what's happening statewide, drop them in the comments. We'll do questions after I get through all the numbers here, so that we're not going back and forth. Today the news is, it's kind of like it was yesterday. It's just not very good. The news is not very good on coronavirus. What happened today is we have fewer tests by about 500, so about 9,500 tests were processed today. But we have more positive results. One would hope that if you do fewer tests, you'd have fewer positive results. But we have slightly more, only about 30 more, so not terrible. But still, that means our percentage of positive tests goes up, right? Of all the tests, 9,500 tests or so, 663 were positive, and that is a 7% positive test rate. Now, our 7-day average positive test rate is now 8.1. That was 7.9 yesterday, so it's up a little bit. So that means of all the tests we've done over the past week, 8.1% are coming back positive. It is said, like public health people will tell you, that if you're keeping that under 10%, it means you're kind of mitigating the spread. We're 6 months into this. We need to be past mitigating. We need to be suppressing, which is not exactly a technical term, but they say if you keep that below 3%, you want to be really around 1 or 2% of your tests being positive. That means you really are, you do have it contained and controlled. And you have a small enough number of cases every day that you can do the contact tracing. One of the side effects of having these larger numbers of cases is a lot more people to call and trace all their contacts. So anyway, the news today, not great. Like I said, 67,493 is the total number of cases we've had so far since mid-March. One bright spot here today, 8,100 of those tests are active, which is about 200 fewer than yesterday. So that number is going down, has been going down. So that's good. That's basically cases that have been diagnosed just in the past 30 days. You remember there was the big spike in numbers we had. It was in the first half of July. So now that big number of cases, we're seeing an increase in fatalities right now because from that big spike in cases. But we're also seeing a lot of those now recovering. Are being designated as recovered because they're more than 30 days ago, which means that our number of active cases goes down slightly each day, which is good. So today we have also 8 more fatalities, which is a little more than our average has been for the past week. We have 3 in Waukesha County, 2 in Milwaukee County, and then 1 each in Brown, Outagamie, and Racine counties. Total death toll now 1,060. And the number of people who have tested positive for coronavirus but died of other causes is still 18. So those 18 are counted among the positive cases, but not counted among the fatalities. Okay. I mentioned the 7-day average of percentages. Both the 7-day and the 14-day average today, just coincidental, data coincidence, is 747 new cases per day. So the last 2 days we've been below average in the number of cases, but we've also been right about very close to the average of percentage of positive tests. 7% today for the state, 8% average over the past week. We've also averaged 7 deaths per day over the past 7 days, and 6 per day over the past 2 weeks. So our death rate has been slightly higher this week than over the past 2 weeks. Again, that I really anticipated with the way the numbers went in July, where we were regularly over 1,000 cases or near 1,000 cases. I was really expecting, I was hoping it wouldn't happen, but I was expecting that we would start to see like 20 and 30 deaths per day. So the fact that we have 8 today and 13 yesterday, it's not good. It doesn't feel nice to announce those things, but it's not as catastrophic as I feared it would be. A couple things to note in terms of locality. There's a lot of counties today that have more than 10 new cases. That's basically what I'd list every day is 10 or more new cases. A lot of counties today. 222 new cases in Milwaukee County. 9.8% positive tests in Milwaukee County, so a little bit higher than the state average. And here's another thing that is really raising red flags for me. Then I'm going to make a phone call after I'm done here to the Brown County Health Department to find out what's going on up there. But yesterday, you'll remember, Milwaukee County had 113 new cases and Brown County had 111. Brown County is obviously much less populated than Milwaukee County. It is home to Green Bay, which is our 3rd largest city in Wisconsin, so it's not exactly a rural county. There's a relatively big city there. But Brown County, since they had that big outbreak in May, and since then has been pretty steady, 20 cases a day or so, give or take. And to suddenly have 111 yesterday, and then today 151. Sorry, I think a bee or something just stung my foot. That was very weird. I don't know what would have done that in my basement, but that's why I was suddenly looking toward the floor. See what happened to my foot. So yesterday, 111 new cases. Today, Brown County has 151 new cases, which is, more than yesterday. So I don't know what is going on up there. 12.3% of tests returning positive results, so it's not just more tests. So I'm gonna see if I can make a phone call up to Brown County Public Health Department and see if they have any idea what's going on. If it's another workplace situation or what. A few other spots that are on the high side in terms of percentage of positive tests. Calumet County, 10 new cases, 7.75%, so it's slightly higher than the state. Dodge County, 25 cases, 9% positives. Fond du Lac County, 24 cases, 7.75% positives. Jefferson County, 16 cases, 9.5% positive. Kenosha County, 21 new cases, 8% positives. Manitowoc County, 18 cases, 7% positive, so right about the same as the state. Marinette County up north, 22 cases, 17% positive. That's pretty high. Oconto County is still on the list, 31 cases, 14% positive. Outagamie County, 53 cases, 7.9% positive, so only a bit higher than the state. Sauk County, down here in the south central area, 24 cases, 28.6% positive tests. Sheboygan County, once again, as Manitowoc County goes, so goes Sheboygan County, it seems. But they're usually on this list. If one of them's on the list, they both are, usually. Sheboygan County, 43 new cases, 21% positive tests. Trempealeau County, 17 cases, 24.6% positive tests. Washington County, 61 cases, 37.9% positive. Waupaca County, 23 cases, 13.2% positive. Waukesha, 144 new cases in Waukesha County, 9.55% positive tests. A couple other spots to mention that have slightly better test rates. Here in Dane County, we have 50 new cases, but only 1.4% positive tests, so that's fine. Eau Claire County, 11 cases, 2.6% positives. Also, not bad. Grant County, down in southwestern Wisconsin, has 11 new cases, but only 1.95% positive, so that's okay. La Crosse County, 14 new cases, 5% positives, a little higher than you'd like it. Marathon County, 14 cases, 3.3% positives, not too bad. Portage County, 11 new cases, basically 6% positive. Racine County, 56 new cases, 5.3% positive. And then finally, not county. Rock County, 12 cases. I said that's 3.5% positive already. Walworth County, 18 cases, 7% positive. And then Winnebago County, 21 cases and 3.3% positive. So those are, have slightly higher numbers of cases than you'd like to see, but the percentages are pretty, reasonable. Hospitalizations, again, we're not at the point of overrunning the hospitals or anything like that. We're not running out of beds, or we're not having to treat people in the hallways, or we're not running out of ICU ventilators or anything like that. But we do keep track of hospitalizations because it's an indication of the severity of the illness and how many people are sick at the present time versus how many people are really sick at the present time, right? And we want to see that going down also. It did go up a little bit today. It's 388 today. That's 8 more than yesterday, but only 1 more than a week ago. So it's not not bad. 121 of those are in intensive care units, and that is 12 more than yesterday. Racial disparities continue to get better, but they're still not great. About 11%, 10.9% of today's new cases are Latino, which is only slightly higher than the Latino proportion of the general population, which is 7%. But still, 22% of the total cases that have ever had it are Latino. 14% of all cases are Black. That's been steady for a while now, which is about a little more than twice what their proportion of the general population is. And about 20% of all the deaths are Black. I want to say a word about the rate of transmission. Um, 1.1 today is where we're at for Wisconsin. It was at 1.11 yesterday, so it's like 100th of a point lower. We are now, I think, 6th highest in the United States. That's the number of people who are infected by each infected person. So right now, for every 100 people we have that are sick, they'll pass that along to, on average, 110 other people. So now you have 210 sick people. And each round of infection gets larger, and it spreads. We want that to be under 1 so that we can rein it back in and make each round of infection smaller. So again, that's 1.1. That's not good. We'll keep an eye on that for you as we go forward. I will take a couple questions right now. There was a bug on the floor. I like your theory, Kathy. This bug on the floor is probably a skeptic and doesn't want to wear a mask, so he bit my toe. So we'll take a couple questions, then I'm going to talk a little bit about herd immunity, because this herd immunity thing is coming up again. I don't know why. Alyssa says an article in the Green Bay Press Gazette yesterday states that inmates at the Green Bay Correctional Facility will be tested this week after the prison saw a spike in cases. I have no idea what the population of that prison is. but I will find out. I think that could be part of it for sure. To get 200 and basically 200 over 260 new cases in one day from a single facility seems like a lot. Seems like it would have to be more than that, but it's entirely possible that might contribute to those numbers for sure. But I will just check on that. Kathy asks, are they keeping city information or just county? I'm not sure who you're referring to there as they. The only data that is being publicly reported is by county. However, the state does have a map that's broken down by census tract. So it's possible to just add up all this, to just click on all the census tracts in a city and add it up. But they're not keeping, nobody that I'm aware of is keeping detailed statistics on cases, on tests, on recoveries, on race data, age data, on a city by city basis. It's all based on county. Almost everything in the public health sphere, anything to do with public health at all, really happens at the county level for the most part, in Wisconsin at least. Jenna says there are 1,062 men in the Green Bay Correctional Institution. That's higher than I expected, and that with the population of over 1,000, it is actually does seem feasible that a particularly bad outbreak in that one facility could be responsible for that, for 200 new cases in a couple of days. That's actually feasible. So that might be actually what it is. I'll look into more of that. I appreciate you guys helping me out with that. I'll look into that some more. Thank you. So here's the thing about herd immunity. There's this idea that if enough people get infected, that there's some threshold percentage of the population who is immune because they've been infected. The virus will eventually go away, or at least not be able to spread, really. There are two problems with this argument. The first is that you have to get a very substantial proportion of the population infected and immune before herd immunity would actually protect those who have not been infected yet. The idea being, I think I'm trying to explain this in a really simple way because I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but the idea is that if there's so many people who have been infected, that there are enough people who have been infected and who are immune, that those who have never been infected are less vulnerable just because there's less virus being spread around, right? The thing is that there's two big problems with this argument. The first and the easiest one that doesn't require any statistical knowledge at all is that we're not sure yet that being infected with this thing confers immunity. That has not been proven. It's sort of assumed. That's how a lot of viruses work. However, not all coronaviruses work that way. And we have seen people infected a second time. And a new study that has just been reported on this week, I don't know, every time you see a new study being reported on, it's hard to tell exactly how reliable that is. But because, those crazy people in the news media sometimes overhype things a little bit. But there is some indication that contracting this particular virus gives you immunity for about 3 months. So even if you did get enough people infected, if being infected doesn't give you immunity, herd immunity will never happen. Right? Herd immunity is possible. Margie just posted a link to the New York Times. It is entirely possible that herd immunity could be achieved in a small geographic area. But what you need to understand is that the The threshold, the herd immunity threshold, which is to say, the percentage of people you have to get infected and immune before you achieve herd immunity, depends on how contagious the virus is. I mentioned rate of transmission. R naught is how public health people talk about it. R naught for this virus right now in Wisconsin is 1.1. It is that low because we are still taking lots of mitigation measures. Right? We're wearing masks. We're being careful. Most of us are not eating at restaurants indoors, that kind of thing. And also, school is not in session, nor are universities. Without those measures, it just sort of left to its own devices. This virus, R naught, is somewhere between 2 and 6. Early on in the crisis here in Wisconsin was when it first hit, we were at 2.6. It was more than doubling every couple of days. The more contagious a virus is, the higher percentage of the population you need to be infected in order to achieve herd immunity. And I'm looking at this Wikipedia page, which is telling me that something like Ebola, which is a tremendously deadly disease, but is not very contagious. You only need to get about half the population, somewhere between 33 and 60% of the population immune before, and that's enough for herd immunity because it is very difficult to spread. Something like measles, where the R naught is 12 to 18. So every person with measles, if there was no measles vaccine and no measures taken against the spread of measles, if there's an outbreak of measles, every person who gets measles is likely to pass it on to 12 other people. To get herd immunity with measles, you need 92 to 95% of the population to be immune. We achieve that through vaccine, right? So COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2, is kind of in the middle range here, the R naught of somewhere between 2 and 6, which means that somewhere between 50 to 83% of the population needs to be immune before herd immunity becomes beneficial. Now let's assume for a moment that getting infected with COVID-19 does make you immune from it in the future. Let's say it is one of those things you can only get once. That would mean if we were to just open up right now and rely on herd immunity and just let everybody catch it, it would take a few months, and we'd get to we're about let's say it's 55%. I've heard some will say up to 80%, 70%. Let's be generous and say it's only 55% necessary. What that would mean is, and let's also say that the death rate is low. So 0.5% of people who get the disease die. In Dane County alone, we have 400,000 people. If we get to 55% infected, we will have 1,100 dead in Dane County alone. So far, we have 39. But congratulations, we will have achieved herd immunity. That's great. Thanks. If you look across Wisconsin, I did this math earlier and I don't remember what the number was. Let's say it's 55%. We'd have to get 3.2 million people infected. Right now we're at 67,000. and of those, nearly 16,000 would die. That's if the fatality rate is what we think it probably is, about 0.5%. 0.5% of people who get sick will die. That's 16,000 dead. But at least we'll have herd immunity then. Is it worth it to you, do you think, for your kids to go to school and for the economy to open and for you to be able to eat at a restaurant if we sacrifice 16,000 people in Wisconsin? I don't think it's worth it. So that's my rant about herd immunity. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. It does. Let me back up. It does make sense to achieve herd immunity through a vaccine. We'll get a vaccine. We'll get 60% of us to take it. We will get that immunity, and that'll cause herd immunity, and that's how this will go away. If we get herd immunity by just catching it, we're going to lose 16,000 people here in Wisconsin. And I don't think it's worth it. Okay, so my laptop battery is almost dead. I was not as prepared today as usually am. So I'll just mention one other thing. One more happier note thing for Madison tonight. Midweek game, a rare opportunity to watch local soccer on a Wednesday. You can watch it on ESPN Plus or locally in Madison on TVW. They're playing Union Omaha, which is a new team this year in the league, and Union Omaha currently sits in second place. Fort Madison sits in 8th place. If Fort Madison wins tonight, they will launch themselves all the way to second place. If they get a draw, they will jump into 5th place. So it should be a good match, a good exciting game. And there's a couple other news items of note on Madison365.org today. We've got part 3 of our Asian American leaders list. We've got a story about UW Oshkosh. You might remember UW Madison took the name Frederick March off of its Play Circle Theater not too long ago, just because Frederick March turns out was a member of the Klan back in the 20s. So UW Oshkosh had a theater named after him as well, and they took that name off yesterday. So I've got a story on that with a couple quotes from the chancellor up there in Oshkosh for those of you in the Fox Valley area. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate your attention, and either way, we will be here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening.